Is anyone still out there? Is anyone still watching? I'm back. So let's do this.
Mitch the Expert.
Mitch! Do more Mitch the Expert! I get this message several times a week, sometimes several times a day, and I'm flattered that you all enjoy this shit, and I love doing Mitch the Expert. However, if you don't give me anything that you want me to be an expert on, I have to make up shit. And I can't guarantee that what I'm going to give you an expert opinion on is anything you give a fuck to hear. So please, if you're going to ask me to do a Mitch the Expert episode, give me something you want an expert opinion on. That's the idea of the show.
That having been said, I do want to show you quite possibly the stupidest question I've ever seen in my entire life. It comes from MySpace, as you might imagine. Sorry to ask you this, but my dumbass friend wants to know, why do guys come, lol. My brain just died a little bit. So, Mitch, what the hell have you been doing with the last year of your life that's kept you from doing Mitch the Expert? It's a very long answer, but I'm going to go ahead and try to summarize the last year or so and see if we can figure this out. Alright, I work at a place called Blaze, you may have known formerly as Music Plus TV, also the place I did a little show called Aural Salvation, which might be the whole reason you're watching this in the first place. After the show, I continued to do web design, as I had done for them before the show, and we had disagreements and went our separate ways. So I was unemployed, and the girlfriend and I had broken up, and I spent the summer doing basically background acting. Which, look, there's me in Entourage. Oh, I'm so hot. There's me on TNT's Leverage. I'm being a thug. I'm so scary. Ooh, scary. Then the girlfriend and I got back together. I started getting some clients, started paying off bills. Things were fairly alright. And then my mother died of cancer. And that sucked a lot. Hey, but funny thing about trauma, it forces you to reevaluate your life. And so I started doing more stand-up comedy gigs and decided I should put more emphasis on my entertainment career and maybe just break off from everyone, get the fuck out of West LA where I was living and back where I belong, here in Hollywood. And indeed I have. But of course that doesn't go over very well with girlfriends, so we broke up. As these things go, you can imagine, having a girlfriend for several years keeps you kind of away from society a little bit, and there's a lot of friends I couldn't talk to because we had sex at one point and she didn't want me to talk to them anymore. So, when I got back to Hollywood, living on my own, I reacquainted with a whole bunch of friends that I ignored for way too long, and I really didn't want to sit here in front of this webcam talking to you, because I wanted to be out there talking to people and humping things. Ooh, I love humping things. I guess that brings us up to speed.
Alright, where can I see some of your stand-up comedy? I'm glad you asked. YouTube.com/RevMitch is a good place to start because I have a lot of my stand-up videos on here. You can also try Vimeo.com for videos over 10 minutes. Just search for Mitch. Also, conveniently, if you'd like to see me in person at your local club, you can go to this little URL here, bit.ly/demandmitch. And when you go there, tell your friends to do the same and sign up to see me in your town. This way, when I'm putting together a tour, which I'm working on doing right now, I can say, oh look, in Townville, USA, X amount of people want to see me, and things go well when I'm booking tours. Other than YouTube, where can I stalk your every move? Well, I guess you could try just about any social network out there. Just search for Mitch, M-I-T-C-Z, or R-E-V-M-I-T-C-Z, and you'll probably find me. Although Twitter's really more suited for stalking, and I am on Twitter and I update it 2 to 3 times a day, I don't necessarily discuss my location. I pretty much just talk about my dick, titties, bitch about Christians. Oh my god, was that you on Bad Girls Club Season 3? Please, tell me the story! Yes, that was me. I went on a date with a psychotic woman. And I looked like shit on that show, because I didn't have the mohawk, and I was recently through a breakup, and the ex and I were still hanging out, and she was really, really fucking upset that I was about to go out on a date with some girl on national fucking TV. As for the story, well, I can't tell you about the or when I wish I could tell you all about it, but I signed a contract, and it's airtight. Tight as balls, and I can't breach it. I will say this. They're so fucking paranoid about the privacy that when I pulled up to the house that evening, they confiscated my cell phone, my digital camera, my wallet, my driver's license, my fucking car, and my car keys. and the only way out of that house was to make good with my psychotic date who'd just finished screaming and yelling at me. It was probably the most insane 9 hours of my life. And there's a lot that happened off camera that I wish I could tell you about, but I just really don't want to be sued.
Now, I did watch a number of the responses to the Bad Girls Club Season 3, but I have to play you my favorite one from the user A Connection TV.
Leah brings home some 15 pairs in the face dude or whatever, right? Brings this brother home, and she is acting a straight gutter hole mess. So, why you don't understand what I'm going through? Understand that this nigga is looking into your face like, what the fuck did I do? Did I cut this bitch in the throat with a toothpick? And I'm looking at Brogane's face like, yo, this bitch is tripping. And the best part of this episode was when he was walking down the stairs like, putting his hands up like, I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I'm getting the fuck up out this house before this girl grab a butcher knife. I feel you, bro. I would have ran out that motherfucker too.
Hey, I noticed a mistake in a past Mitch the Expert episode. That's just how I read those kind of things. Do you want a cookie? I already referenced that I make mistakes.
Now, I'm a big believer in humility, and while I might be Mitch the Expert, I'm not Mitch the perfect fucking human being.
Yes, John Wayne Gacy is dead. I know this. I did not know this at the time, but hey, I was on a rant. And then I did some fuzzy math on my Enzyme rant. I know 100 capsules per bottle. You don't need to sell to 10 million people to equal 100 million capsules sold. You'd only need to sell them to 1 million people. I get it. I was drunk. I'm sorry if it upset your life. Can we move on now? You said you were a smoker for 15 years. How did you quit? No, but in all seriousness, I went into hypnotherapy. And it sounds hokey, but it does actually work. Hold on, qualifications are coming because I'm still smoking. In the hypnotherapy session, he had me envision cigarette as an actual person. And this cigarette that I envisioned was Marlboro Reds. So me and this Marlboro Red had it out in the hallway and I punched the shit out of this cigarette. I probably sound insane right now. Somehow, smoking cloves was alright. And my roommate at the time smoked menthol cloves, and that weaned me into smoking menthol cigarettes. However, I haven't touched a Marlboro Red since that day because they're still fucking evil to me because of that hypnotherapy session. So now I need to go back and convince myself that menthols and all cigarettes of any kind are evil. And I'll do that, but just not today. Hey, is Aural Salvation ever coming back? No, it's not. I get the question all the time about Aural Salvation. Aural Salvation will never go back to Music Plus TV. There is no Music Plus TV. And frankly, there is no Aural Salvation anymore. All of it exists on DVDs here in this apartment, and there's fucking hundreds of them. Nothing's in the works. It won't ever happen that way. If an internet TV show someplace else or internet TV station comes up to me and says, hey, we'd like you to do Aural Salvation for us, I might. But it won't be back as Aural Salvation. It'll be called something else. It'll have a slightly different format, and hopefully, God willing, it'll have a fucking budget. When I have something to announce, I fucking will. I'm not just holding out to be secretive. There's nothing in the works. I loved your douchebag PSA. Could you do another one, but this time about emo kids, scene kids, hipsters? Thank you, but no. In fact, the douchebag PSA is kind of a sore point with me. I can't take it offline because it's out on hundreds of fucking websites and everybody's seen it. It's millions of views and everything else. And I appreciate it. It's cool and whatever have you. But for instance, Gawker called me out as a homophobe, and I'm not. Yes, I use the word fag in that video a lot, but I want to be very clear. To me, a fag is a straight, homophobic douchebag doing really gay shit. You know, walking around with his shirt off in a club, rubbing up against his buddies, wearing orange tan, worrying way too much about their hair and their makeup and tight jeans and things like this. Now, gay people are not fags because they're actually gay. And if you're sucking dick, you can get away with a lot of shit. And I have a severe disdain for homophobic people. I'm not going to do a PSA on hipsters or emos or scene kids because they don't take themselves too seriously. They're not really doing anything that harms anybody. I don't even know what the fuck a scene kid is. I'm 30 years old. I don't have time for labels. I don't have time for fashion and even really being hip. I'm still wearing a fucking mohawk. I don't think that's been cool since the fucking 80s. Alright, I think that about covers everything. I realize it's very easy to be Mitch the Expert on Mitch, but hey, people been asking about me, and that's kind of cool. I will still go back to answering things not about me. Send along your questions and I'll break it down. Mitch the Expert.